Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our last notes video this week, which is Unit 9, Notes 3-4, Simplifying Expressions with Factoring. Okay, so today we're going to be doing factoring and a little bit of simplifying. So it's going to be a couple of steps, but you guys already know how to do all of it, so hopefully it isn't too difficult for you. Okay, starting off with, the first thing you need to know is that sometimes in order to cancel out factors, you're going to have to factor. Okay, so before you were given the factors, now you're going to have to factor to get those factors. Okay, so your factors must be multiplied in order to cancel them out. All right, let's take a look at number 1. So what we're going to do first is we're going to factor the bottom of this. So let's just start with that, and we want to make sure we find our excluded values as well. So let's go ahead and factor that. So we're multiplying to negative 12 and adding to negative 1. So I want to ask myself, what multiplies to negative 12 and adds to negative 1? Well, that's negative 4 and positive 3. So now I'm going to go ahead and factor that. Hopefully you guys are getting more comfortable with factoring because you're going to be doing a lot of that. So first group, second group. Out of the first group, you can take out an x, and then you have x minus 4. Out of the second group, you can take a 3, and then you have x minus 4. So if we check, those two factors are matching, so we can pull those out. And then left over is x plus 3. So first thing I want to do is calculate out those excluded values. So I'm going to set this equal to 0, which means that both of my factors then need to be set equal to 0, and we need to solve them for x. So x minus 4 equals 0 is going to become x equals 4. And this is going to be negative 3. So my excluded values are that x cannot be either one of those. So that's that for my final answer. Now let's write that out a little bit. Let's rewrite out that expression. Instead of having that quadratic on the bottom, I'm going to write it out on the bottom as x minus 4 times x plus 3. Okay, so now if you look, we have an x minus 4 on the bottom and an x minus 4 on the top. So those guys are going to cancel out. Now, this x plus 3 is not going to cancel out. And notice that that x plus 3 is on the bottom. So x plus 3 is on the bottom. And x minus 4 cancels out on top. So then we're left with 1 over x plus 3. And that's directly related with those two things. Remember, your excluded value always comes from the beginning. Let's take a look at number 2. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up our x and factor. So we're multiplying to 14 and adding to a negative 9. So here we have a positive product and a negative sum, which means both of my signs need to be negative. So multiplying to a negative or positive 14 adding to a negative 9 is going to be negative 7 and positive 2. So let's go ahead and let's write that out. So x squared minus 7x minus 2x plus 14. And now we're going to factor that by grouping. So make those groups. Out of the first group, you can take an x, and then you're left with x minus 7. Out of the second group, because of that negative sign, we're going to take out a negative 2. And when we divide each sign by a negative 2, we're left with x minus 7, which is good because now our leftovers are matching, so we can factor those out. And then left over after that is x minus 2. Now, in order to calculate out those excluded values, we want to set both of those equal to 0. So I'm going to take x minus 7 is equal to 0 and x minus 2 is equal to 0. So then when you solve this one, you get x is equal to 7. If you need to show more work when you're solving your equations, that is totally fine. Just make sure you show me where your answers are. So we have x is equal to 7 and x is equal to 2. So remember, those are the values that make x, or the denominator, equal to 0. So we actually want to exclude those values. So my excluded values are 7 and 2. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write out what I have. So I have x to the 7th. I'm going to write that down. So I have x minus 7 on top. And then on the bottom, I have x minus 7 times x plus 2. Or sorry, x minus 2. So similarly to before, these x minus 7s can cancel each other out because that x minus 7 is the only thing on the top. Okay, so when those cancels out, we're left with 1 on top. And then on the bottom, notice that x minus 2 is on the bottom. So this x minus 2 needs to be on the bottom. So that's your final answer. So again, you need both of those answers. All right, what I want you guys to do is go ahead and pause the video, and we're going to factor this quickly. So just to set up your x, I just want you to get this factored for me. You have negative 35, negative 35, and positive 2. So go ahead and factor that. Okay, so now that you have that factored, we still want to start by finding our excluded values. So we're going to set both of those equal to 0. So I have x plus 7 is equal to 0, and then I have x minus 5 is equal to 0. So here, subtract 7 from both sides, and you get negative 7. Here, add 5 to both sides, and you get 5. So our excluded values are that x cannot be negative 7 or positive 5. Let's go ahead and write that out simplified. So on the top, we have x plus 7. On the bottom, we have x plus 7 times x minus 5. So now we want to cancel out these two factors, again, because that x plus 7 is the only thing on the top. And then we're going to have 1 over x minus 5 left as our simplified rational expression. All right, I'm going to go ahead and have you guys try number 4 on your own. Okay, so get number 4 done on your own. We're going to take a look at number 5. So for number 5, first thing we want to do is I actually am going to have to, on this one, factor the top and the bottom. So taking a look at the top, I notice that I have 2x plus 16. So there I want to take out a greatest common factor because there is one. So I'm asking myself, what divides 2 and 16? And the answer is 2. So I'm going to divide each of those terms by 2, and I'm left with x plus 8. Okay, so that's going to be our new top, is 2 times x plus 8. So now I need to go back to the steps we were doing in the first couple, and I want to factor the bottom, so multiplying to 56, adding to 15, which is 7 and 8. So then I get x squared plus 7x plus 8x plus 56. And now I want to factor by grouping. Just going to do that here quickly. So then I'm left with x plus 7 and x plus 8. Set those equal to 0 so I can get my excluded values. And then x plus 7 is equal to 0 and x plus 8 is equal to 0. So my excluded values are that x cannot be negative 7 or negative 8. So I did a lot of that work in my head. Hopefully you guys are getting to the point where you kind of remember how to do that yourself. So then on the bottom here, I'm going to write out my factors. I had x plus 7 and x plus 8. So here's where taking out that 2 became really, really important because we have this factor and this factor that are the same. So we can actually cancel those out. Okay, but if we hadn't have taken out the 2, we couldn't have done that. Now, notice this 2 is being multiplied by the x plus 8. That means we can do this. So left on top, we have 2. Left on the bottom, we have x plus 7. So I'm going to have you guys do number 6 on your own. Here's the hint I'm going to give you. When you factor out the top, you're going to take out a 3. So your top is going to become 3 times x minus 2. So I want you to go ahead and factor the bottom, find your excluded values, and then cancel out any factors that might be overlapping. Okay, let's take a look at this one. So for this one, it's going to be a little bit different than we're used to. The top can't be factored anymore, so that's going to stay as x minus 9. Now I need to factor out the bottom. Well, what I noticed about the bottom is there's only 2 terms. That's okay. All that means is I'm going to multiply to a negative 81, and I'm adding to 0. If there's no middle term, then I need to make that term 0. So I'm adding to 0. Okay, so I'm going to use negative 9 and positive 9. So then I have x squared, and then since there's no middle term, you can still write it out as if there was a middle term, like that, because negative 9x plus 9x is going to give you 0, so it still works. Then we're going to factor by grouping. Then we're going to take a 9 out of each. So I'm left with x minus 9 and x plus 9. So now I need to set each of those factors equal to 0. So then I end up getting from my excluded values that x cannot be 9 or negative 9. So those are my excluded values. So then going back up to this simplified version, okay, we're going to have on the bottom x minus 9 and x plus 9. So we can cancel out the overlapping factors. Again, that leaves us with nothing on the top, so we're just going to put a 1, and left on the bottom is going to be that x plus 9. Okay, so that's your simplified rational expression. Let's take a look at number 8. So x plus 7 on top can't be simplified anymore. Well, let's take a look at that 49. So we're going to be multiplying to a negative 49, and again, adding to 0. Okay, so when we do that, we're going to do 7 and negative 7. Okay, so that's the head start I'm going to give you. Go ahead and finish that one up on your own. Remember, let me set up the grouping part for you. So this is going to be 7x minus 49. And I want you to go ahead and finish factoring that and simplify the expression. Make sure you give me your excluded values as well. All right, let's take a look at number 9. Now, number 9 can be really confusing, likewise number 10, because you have to factor twice. And that's why we've been making you do the x so much, is because we want you guys to be able to factor quickly. So here we're multiplying to negative 27 and adding to negative 6. So that's negative 9 and positive 3. So let's go ahead and factor that out. So we have x squared minus 9x plus 3x minus 27. Now we're going to factor that by grouping. Between x squared and 9x, you can take out an x, and you're left with x minus 9. Between 3 and 27, you can take out a 3, and you're left with x minus 9. So if you check, my leftovers are matching, so I can factor those out. And then I'm going to write what's left after that. Now this guy came from the top, so we don't have to worry about calculating excluded values from the top. Okay, we just have to get that factored so we know what we can cancel out. So we don't have to worry about doing excluded values until we do our second x. So our second x, we're going to be multiplying to negative 12, adding to negative 1. So again, that's negative 4 and 3. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly factor this. Factor it on your page if you need to. Okay, now this x that we factored does have an excluded value. Okay, because now we're worried about the denominator. So now we want to take this one and set that equal to 0. So then we have x plus 3. So then we end up with x is equal to 4 and x is equal to negative 3. Yes, they're equal to it right now, but those are actually the values that we want to exclude. So our excluded values are that x cannot be 4 or negative 3. So there's your excluded values. Then on the bottom here, I'm going to write this as, oops, this should be plus 3. I'm going to write this as x minus 4, x plus 3. So the plus 3 came from this first one here and this one here. Because all of these factors are multiplied, we can go ahead and we can cancel out those overlapping factors. So that's going to give us x minus 9 on top and x minus 4 on the bottom. I think you guys are ready. I want you guys to try number 10 on your own. So first, factor top, then factor bottom, and then find your excluded values, and then simplify. So I want you to go through and do that. Those are the steps you're going to kind of go through for those, okay? All right, let's take a look at this word problem. Jenny has guppies in her equation. 1 week later, she adds 4 neon fish. Define a variable for neon fish and guppies. So I'm going to let n equal neon fish. I'm going to let g equal guppies. We're then write an expression that represents the fraction of neon fish in the equation. So I know that n is equal to my neon fish. So I'm going to start by writing n is equal to. So now I want to figure out how many neon fish I have. Okay, so g is the amount of guppies I have. So we want to take g, and we know that we had g amount of guppies. Okay, then we want to figure out how many total we have. We have our g guppies plus our 4 neon fish that we added. So we have our number of guppies up top, and then our total is going to come from the number of guppies plus 4. So this right here would be that simplified expression. Next, let's take a look at part B. 2 months later, the guppy population doubles. So now instead of using G, I'm going to use 2G. Jenna still has 4 neon fish, so that's still going to be 4, but she adds 5 different tropical fish. So we have to add 5 fish to our total. Write an expression that shows the fraction of neons in the aquarium that the other fish have been added. So the neons are equal to the 2 amount of guppies divided by the total, which is the 2G, plus the 4 neon, plus the 5 tropical. So 2G is equal to 2G plus 9. And that is your simplified expression. She'll be doing a similar one to this on your homework, so make sure you have it written down. Show me your completed note sheet when you're done. Thanks for listening.